Hey guys, it's Sam Highfield. I'm an on-set visual effects supervisor, and I thought it'd be interesting to talk about being a British visual effects supervisor working in Bollywood and in Tollywood. For those who don't know, Bollywood is North Indian films and Tollywood is South Indian films. And the quality of these films in the last 5-10 years has come on so much. In fact, RRR is probably one of my favorite films of all time. And if anyone can teach me the dance to Natu Natu, I'd really appreciate that. If I had to narrow it down to one difference between, say, American and European film crews versus Indian film crews, that is, if they have a big problem and I make a radical suggestion, the Indian film crews are more likely to action my advice straight away. Let's take an example of that. A typical problem is that visual effects cost too much. What can we do to bring the cost down? This doesn't just happen in India, it happens everywhere, okay? It's a typical problem. Now, I normally have one golden thing that I can suggest which keeps the visual effects quality but can bring the cost down a lot, and everyone loves this. Are you ready for it? Because American and European ones will really question it, and Indian film crews adopt it quite quickly. However, if you film everything sharp, by that I mean instead of using a 180-degree shutter, you use a 90-degree shutter or a 45-degree shutter. That's double or 4 times the speed, which means you do need more light in your scene. That means anything moving will not have as much motion blur, and that's a lot easier to key, it's a lot easier to match move, you save a lot of money. In fact, I estimate it's about 3 times faster to composite a shot with hard edges than one that has motion blur all over it. And don't forget, in bits of software like Nuke, After Effects, Flame, you can add motion blur in afterwards. Now you could say, Sam, that doesn't always work. Sometimes you get some glitching on that, and then that means you can't use the shot. Let me tell you something, it's a bit controversial, but I found actually works really well. In compositing, if that motion blur effect isn't working on the live action footage, just don't put it on. In fact, I went and delivered 300 shots for a show once where we filmed everything with a faster shutter. I didn't put motion blur on any of them. And I thought, let's just put it past everyone because it goes to review. The DOP watched it, the color grader watched it, quality review watched it, the executive producers watched it. No one picked up on the fact that the motion blur wasn't the same as every other shot. I thought that was really interesting because considering it takes so much, as I said, it normally triples the amount of time a shot takes to composite. And if you shoot sharp, if you take that risk, then you can get the same looking shots done almost 3 times faster, or the compositing is done 3 times faster. Okay. But what it means is that you've got to have a really good relationship with the director of photography, because that's the big thing. They'll typically say, whoa, that changes the look of everything. They need more light in the scene. To go from 180 to 90 degrees is 1 stop. And then to go to 45 degrees is 2 stops. But once you explain, especially if there's a producer nearby, and you said this is gonna radically cut down the visual effects costs, there's something quite simple they can do to just get more light coming in through that lens. Okay, that's it for this one, guys. If you can work with Bollywood or Tollywood film crews, I highly recommend it. They will really, really listen to you and take action of what you said, and they'll respect you a lot. So it's actually a really nice experience. Okay, see you in the next one.